Hello, everyone, and welcome to another segment of Divine Femininity United. I'm your girl, Dr. Bianca Mz Bee Lee, and we are here for another chapter reading of this amazing book, Letting Go, The Pathway of Surrender, written by the late, great Dr. David R. Hawkins. This book has been absolutely mind blowing. Okay. If you all are following, you already know. If you know, you know. Okay. All right. Today's chapter, you already know. I don't play any games on Tuesdays because it's already late. And I don't like to infringe on you all's family time, wind down time, and all of those things. You could be doing many other things than listening to me run my mouth. Okay. All righty. So we're going to start chapter 9 today. Chapter 9 of this book, Letting Go. Chapter 9 is entitled Pride. Okay? Pride. This is a good one, y'all. Okay? This is a really, really good one. And if you notice, this book is written by the same author of the book that we just finished reading, Power versus Sports. If you notice, he's climbing up the levels of consciousness. So we were at anger a couple days ago. Now we're at pride. Okay? So follow along as we're going along. Okay? Follow along as we're going along. Alrighty. Also keep in mind too, we are airing live on multiple platforms. We're airing on Clubhouse. We're airing on Facebook. We're airing on LinkedIn and YouTube and Twitter and all of the good things. Okay. All right. So if you see us here, you want to comment, please use the chats. That's what they're there for. The comment section is what it's there for. And give us your thoughts, whatever, however, something that I read resonates with you. If it speaks to you, let us know so that we can share. You already know. I love to say we are holding each other hand, walking each other back home. All right. So share with us so that we can get the revelation that you got. You know what I mean? Share alike. That's what it is. Okay. Alrighty. Also share. If we're since we're talking about sharing, share the live. Okay. Alrighty. Here we go. I had to get my church announcements out the way. All right. Here we go. Chapter 9. Pride. In common parlance, pride is often thought to be a good thing. However, if we take a good look at it all, we will see that just like all the other negative feelings we have discussed so far, pride is devoid of love. Mm, pride is devoid of love. Wow. Consequently, it is essentially destructive. Pride may take the form of overvaluation, denial, playing the martyr, being opinionated, arrogant, boastful, inflated, one up. Ooh, I can't stand when people do that. Try to one up you in the conversation. Oh, yeah, you did that. I see yours and I raise you. That's that one up. That's crazy. Haughty, holier than thou, vain, self centered, complacent, aloof, smug, snobbish, prejudiced, bigoted, pious, contemptuous, selfish, unforgiving, spoiled, rigid, patronizing, judgmental, and in a milder form, pigeonholing. I've heard the term pigeonholing, but I'm sure he's going to go through it. Intellectual pride leads to ignorance. Let me say that again for the people in the back. Intellectual pride leads to ignorance. Okay. This is gonna be good. My goodness, this is gonna be good. And spiritual pride is the main block to spiritual development and maturation in everyone. Come on. Religious pride by self-identification with the righteous and having the only true way is the basis of all religious wars, rivalry, and dismissal occurrences such as the Inquisition. That is so true because no matter what religion you worship or follow or whatever the case, there is a divide because everyone in their mind feels that my way, this way is the only way. And if you're not following this way, then you're going to go to hell or you're going to do this and you're going to be judged. And you understand what I'm saying? As if God is so limited in his thinking that he's just going to pick one way to show the world who he is. Come on now. Like, don't do God. You feel me? Like, really, really open up your mind. Okay. And use critical thinking because, come on, that's common sense. But some of us, we already know common sense ain't too common. All right. Here we go. The biggest downfall of all is religious pride and considering oneself entitled to kill others who don't share one's specific beliefs. Come on here. All right. In all of us, the prideful feeling, I have the answers, blocks our growth and development. Yep, that I know syndrome. That's an I know spirit. It is interesting that the egotistical part of the mind is willing to sacrifice the whole remainder of a person for its own sake. Rather than admit to being wrong, people will literally give up the life of the body itself and sacrifice any aspect of life on the altar of pride. By example, religious wars and crusades. Male pride about those programs that our society considers masculine blocks the emotional and psychological inner development of most men in our society. Very true. I was just having a conversation with somebody about that man thing, that macho man. I don't do that, man. That ain't that right there. That male pride is what blocks most men from opening up themselves to vulnerability and openness and gentleness and mildness and all of that stuff. Okay, some women are now joining the ranks of chauvinism. It's true, which only compounds the problem and intensifies the battle of the sexes. Come on, that's a battle that ain't never stopped. Who's the better, or who's this, who's that. Next section, vulnerability of pride. The prideful person is constantly on the defensive because of the vulnerability of the inflation and denial. Conversely, the humble person cannot be humiliated, for they are immune to vulnerability, having let go of pride. That's it. In its place, they have an inner security and self esteem. Many people try to substitute pride for genuine self esteem. However, genuine self esteem does not actually arise until pride is relinquished. That's it. Come on. This good, y'all. That which inflates the ego does not result in inner strength. That which inflates the ego does not result in inner strength. On the contrary, it increases our vulnerability and overall level of fear. Man, when we are in a state of pride, our energy is dissipated by the constant preoccupation with defending our lifestyle, vocation, neighborhood, clothes, year and make of our car, ancestry, country, and political and religious belief system. My goodness, there is a tireless preoccupation with appearance and what other people will think. So there is a constant vulnerability to the opinions of others. And we call that pride, y'all. We call that pride. Yikes. Okay. When pride and self inflation have been relinquished, there is an inner security that takes their place. When we no longer feel called upon to defend our image, criticisms and attacks from others diminish and finally stop. When we let go of our need for validation or to prove ourselves right, then the challenges against us fall away. That's true. This brings us to one of the basic laws of consciousness, which is defensiveness invites attack. Defensiveness invites attack. An examination of the nature of pride facilitates the letting go of it as it is no longer valued. Okay. It is seen for what it is in truth, which is weak, the dictum, pride goeth before a fall prevails. Pride is thin ice. Pride is thin ice. A poor substitute for that rock like strength, that real strength that comes from courage, acceptance, or peace. Is there such a thing as healthy pride? When we talk of healthy pride, we're referring to self esteem, our inner awareness of one's true value and worth. This inner awareness is different from the energy of pride. Self awareness of one's true value is characterized by lack of defensiveness. Once we have consciously contacted the truth of our real beginnings or beingness, the nature of our inner self will with all of its true innocence, greatness, and nobility of the human spirit, we no longer need pride. That's it. Once you understand who you are, like for real, who you are, not who you pretend to be, pride, right? Not who you were made to believe you were, deception, right? Delusion, also who you truly are. I say this all the time, and I said this before when I said The only real problem that we as people face in life, there's only one real problem. One. I know we like to call stuff problems, but there's only one real problem that we face, and that is the problem that we don't know who we are. Because if you truly knew who you were, then you would stand in the power that you are, and you would face those quote unquote problems from your whole self, from your powerful self. And you would see those opportunities, those situations as opportunities to demonstrate who you are. Period. Because what you mean? I don't care about that bill. I don't care about that, and I'm certainly not concerned about that wallet, because I'm my that job is not my source. Okay, I will not be led by how much money I got in my pocket, because I may have a couple of dollars in my pocket now, but what I have access to, because I'm a master manifester. Hello, somebody. I know how to bring in what I need when I need it. Just because you don't see it right now don't mean it ain't here. Facts. That's when you know who you are. You're not swayed by nothing. Can't nobody tell you outside of, and can't nobody tell you anything outside of the truth of who you are. That's how I know that when I see people and how they operate and move about in life, in fear, in low self-esteem, and in lack, and in inferiority, and all of this stuff, that right there tells me one thing and one thing only. This person don't know who they are. This person has disconnected from the truth of who they are. Okay, great. When I take in new clients, the very first question I ask them on our first session is, do you know who you are? Because that answer will determine which direction we're going to go in your therapy sessions. My goal is to be your memory coach. What you mean, Dr. B? My goal is to make you remember who you are, so that by the end of our sessions, you no longer need me. That part. Okay? So that's what it is. That's what it is. When you understand, like he stated here, once we have consciously contacted the truth of our real beingness, the nature of our inner self with all of its true innocence, greatness, and nobility of the human spirit, we no longer need pride. We no longer need to try to convince other people. You understand what I'm saying? We just are that. We just know what we are. He went on to say, and this self-knowledge is sufficient for us. That's all we need. We don't need, Joe Blow's validation of me. We don't need Susie Q's compliment of me. I compliment myself. Anything that comes outside of what I give me is a bonus. And it's a confirmation to what I don't already gave to myself. Hello, somebody. You understand? That ain't pride. That's just what it is. That's me knowing who I am. Okay? And when you know who you are and you feed it to yourself, you no longer are thirsty looking for it outside of you. That part. Okay? That which we truly know never needs defense and is different from the energy of pride that we are discussing in this chapter. Let's look at some of the kinds of pride with which we have been programmed and see how they bear up under examination. Pride of family, pride of country, pride of accomplishment are typically examples that come to mind. Is pride really the loftiest of human emotions? The very fact that it is characterized by defensiveness proves otherwise. When we have pride in our possessions or in some organizations with which we identify, we feel obligated to defend them. Hello, somebody. Come on, Democrat and Republican. Come on here, right? When we have pride in our possessions or in some organizations with which we identify, we feel obligated to defend them. Come on, Vice Lord. Come on, GD. I'm saying that because I know somebody listening. Yeah. Pride in our ideas and opinions leads to endless arguments, conflicts, and woe. Pride in our ideas and opinions leads to endless arguments, conflict, and woe. A higher feeling state that pride is that of love. A higher feeling state than pride is that of love. If we love all of the things noted above, like family, country, accomplishments, that means there is no question of their worth in our mind. We no longer have to be on the defensive. When true recognition and knowledge replace opinion, when true recognition and knowledge replaces opinion, which is part of pride, there is no room for argument. You don't have to defend. What is the saying? The truth don't need no explanation. It just is what it is, the truth. Our sheer love and appreciation for something is a solid position that cannot be assailed. Pride, because it is a vulnerable position, always implies that somewhere there is a doubt that needs to be cleared up. And the opponent quickly centers on that doubt. When all doubts have been removed, opinions and pride disappear. There's a subtle inference of apology and pride, as though the thing in itself was not good enough to stand on its own merit. Yeah, man. That which is worthy of our love and respect hardly needs an apologist. That's facts. Pride infers subtlety, that there is room for debate and that the worth of something is open to question, and it's not. When we truly love something and thereby become one with it, it is because we see its intrinsic perfection. In fact, its faults, or whatever the faults would be, are part and parcel of its perfection. That's it. Whatever someone else would see as a fault, if I'm loving something and I see the perfection, I see even the flaws perfection. Okay? For all that we see in the universe is in the process of becoming. It's true. In that process, its perfect evolution is part of that perfection. Thus, the half unfolded flower is not an imperfect flower that needs defense. On the contrary, its blossoming is proceeding with precise perfection according to the laws of the universe. Likewise, each and every individual on the planet is unfolding, growing, learning, and reflecting that same perfection. We might say that the unfoldment of the evolutionary process is proceeding precisely according to cosmic laws. It's true. Which also says to me, if everybody is unfolding and learning and growing and reflecting and is seen as perfection in God's eyes, because we are becoming. No one has arrived yet. As long as we are living in this life, we're still evolving, we're still unfolding, we're still becoming. If we've arrived to our state of perfection, it's time for us to go and check up out of here. We're done. There's nothing else to do here. But if we're still breathing, living, moving about, we're still evolving, we're still expanding, we're still, learning and all of those things. So even in that, even if it doesn't look popular to the society that we're living in, or even if it doesn't look glamorous or whatever, it doesn't mean that it's not perfect. It doesn't mean that it's not perfection. It doesn't mean that it's not where you should be and how it should be right now. The operative words are right now. Not what it's going to be forever. It's only for right now. So stay the course and continue to bloom so that you can see the full blossom that you are. You see what I'm saying? One of the drawbacks about the position of pride, as we have said, is its vulnerability. Vulnerability then invites attack. Therefore, in society, we witness that prideful people draw criticism, and their vulnerability is what accounts for the saying, pride goeth before a fall. In the biblical account, it was Lucifer's pride that was his Achilles heel, despite the great standing that he had acquired. Next section, humility. The attempt to suppress pride out of guilt simply does not work. It is not helpful to label the energy of pride a sin and to suppress it in ourselves out of guilt, to hide it, or to pretend that we do not experience it. What happens is that the energy subtly takes on new form known as spiritual pride. Come on here, saints. Come on, gather around, saints. Please gather around so you can get your molly whopping, okay? And that included me too. Once upon a time, I was there too. Hello? No one is exempt. I promise you. We do not feel comfortable in the presence of those who are prideful. Therefore, pridefulness blocks communication and the expression of love. Yes, it does. Although we love those who are prideful about specific accomplishments, we love them in spite of their pride and not because of it. We love them in spite of their pride and not because of it. I said this last week. We all are in this life, on this planet, to perfect our loving. That's what we're here for, to perfect our loving. Loving who? Loving self, loving each other, loving God, all of it. Loving what God gave, i.e., nature, right? Loving. We are here in this life to perfect our loving, period. So all of this, the back and forth and the pride for this and this and then the third, if it's understand, like he stated here, pridefulness blocks communication and the expression of love. It just does. Okay. Feeling guilty about pride is a spiritual sin, only locks it in. And as we have said, it's not really the answer. The real answer is merely to let go of it by examining its true nature. Once we see pride for what it is one of the easier emotions to surrender. To begin with, we can ask ourselves, what is the purpose of pride? What is its payoff? Why do I seek it? For what does it compensate? What do I have to realize about my true nature in order to let pride go without a feeling of loss? That's a good question. The answer is rather obvious. The smaller we feel within, listen here, y'all, the smaller we feel within, the more we have to compensate for an inner sense of inadequacy, unimportance, and valuelessness by the substitution of the emotion of pride. I'm going to say that again so that they can really marinate. The smaller we feel within, the more we have to compensate for an inner sense of inadequacy, unimportance, and valuelessness by the substitution of the emotion of pride. It's an inside thing. It's a reflection of how you see you, how you feel about you. The more we surrender our negative emotions, the less we will rely on the crutch of pride. Come on, it's a crutch. Yes. In its place, there will be a quality that the world calls humility and that we subjectively experience as peacefulness. True humility is distinct, and that we and from the paradox of pride in one's humility. I ran over into another sentence. True humility is distinct from the paradox of pride in one's humility or false modesty, seen frequently in the public arena. We see that a lot. We see that a whole lot. False modesty is the pretense of diminishment with the longing that others will recognize the accomplishments that one is so proud of, but too proud to brag about it openly. Oh man, where we showcase our accomplishments, right? Like we do great things. Then when we get the compliments, we say, "Oh no, don't no. It's okay. Really when internally they want more. Like, yep, bring it on, give me more, applause louder, scream my name. Okay, that's what it is for real. It's a false modesty. True humility cannot be experienced by the person who is said to possess it because it is not an emotion. As we have said before, the true humble cannot be humbled. They are immune to humiliation. Come on, because humble is the root word of humiliation. And the true humble cannot be humbled because they don't do low self-esteem, humiliation, embarrassment. They don't do none of that. They have nothing to defend. There is no vulnerability, and therefore the true humble do not experience critical attacks by others. Instead, a truly humble person sees the critical verbalization by another person as merely a statement of the other person's inner problems. That part. What other people have to say about you has absolutely nothing to do with you. I'm going to say that again. What other people have to say about you has absolutely nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. People don't see a situation, a person, a place, as it is. They see it from where they are. So if it's hard for a person to see beauty in you, it's because it's hard for them to see beauty in themselves. Okay? So stop taking things so personally, because it ain't got nothing to do with you. I promise you. It got everything to do with them. All right? For instance, if someone were to say, "You think you're pretty good, don't you?" Hmm. What the truly humble person would see is that that other person has a problem with envy. And the question has no bias in reality in the first place. There is nothing to be offended by and no need to react. In contrast, for a prideful person, this question would be viewed as an insult and lead to hurt feelings and verbal comebacks and even a violent end in some cases. They want to argue, they want to fight. My grandmother used to tell me a long time ago, you let a fool establish themselves as a fool. You don't help them. Let a fool establish themselves as a fool. If you jump to what a fool says, you got two fools. Period. Okay. Next section, joy and gratitude. Because pride is sometimes seen as a motivator of achievement, what would be its higher level substitute? One answer would be joy. What is wrong? What is wrong with joy as the reward for successful achievement rather than pride? Pride carries with it the desire for recognition from others, and consequently, there's a vulnerability to anger and disappointment if it is not forthcoming at some point. Exactly. Okay. Let somebody not compliment you or recognize your accomplishments and watch and see you turn up. Let somebody not say job well done. I'm telling you, I'm speaking for what I know because I was there. Oh, I used to get so heated when my family didn't support my stuff or didn't come on my lives and did. Oh, I was heated. Oh, I was heated. And then I had to check myself because at the end of the day, I don't run nobody. How you gonna tell them people how to spend their time? How you gonna do that? They don't want to. How about this? Maybe they were too busy. Maybe they had other stuff. And here's the thing. Here's the harsh reality. Maybe they just don't want to hear you talk. And that's okay. That is perfectly fine. And I got to be okay with that. Because if that's the case, what am I going live for? Am I going live for their approval? Or am I going live for the love of what I do? Those are the hard questions I had to ask myself and have a real, as they say, come to Jesus moment. Take that pride out of there. Take that pride out of there. And when I no longer cared about what people thought about what I did, oh, it became lovely for me. Joyous, as he said, joy became my pleasure. It really, really did. If we achieve a certain goal for the pleasure, enjoyment, and the love of the accomplishment and the inner joy that it brings to us, we are invulnerable to the reaction of others. You no longer care. I love that for me. I love that so much for me because it's so freeing. Okay. We can recognize our proneness to pain by looking at the kind of reactions we're hoping to elicit from others by our choices and behavior. This includes mannerisms, expressions, style of dress, the kind of possessions we choose, the brand name of car we drive, the kind of home we have, the address at which we live, the schools we've attended or which our children attend, or the labels on the products we buy. In fact, if we look at our current society, we see to what an absurd degree this pridefulness has taken place. Labels are now worn on the outside of many clothes and personal articles. It hasn't reached the level of racks and shovels yet, but it could sooner or later. Nobody has thought of it yet, but we could all carry around rakes and shovels ostentatiously with the designer names emblazoned upon them. Right. It's as if, okay, let me tell you the difference between real money and and a little piece of hood money, right? Real money knows how to invest and how to keep people guessing on whether they got money or not. Okay. They'll have on a nice pair of Dockers, a nice little simple pair of loafers, a good Walmart button down special. Okay. But where they will show their money, it will be in their investments, in their properties, in their IRAs, in their stock portfolio, okay, in their children, in some form of commodity, gold, silver, whatever, okay? That's where the money gonna be. Hello? But I'm gonna tell you the difference between that and hood money. Hood money, you gotta have the bling bling everywhere. You gotta have the big wheels and the big cars and all of that stuff. You gotta have Gucci emblazoned all over your shirt. Gucci, Prada, Louis, Gucci, Fendi, all of that. You gotta walk in, you gotta show your red bottoms. Every time you walk, you're walking like a flamingo. You got to let the people see the red bottoms. Not to mention the bottom of that red sole that you just spent $4,000 on. Now, don't get me wrong, spend what you want, but understand, ask yourself why you're buying it, why you need it. Is it for status, or do you really just simply enjoy these things? Okay, that's the difference. Okay, this points to another one of the drawbacks of pride, the exploitability to which it exposes us. Pridefulness means that we can be manipulated with great ease. I need y'all to hear that again. Pridefulness means that we can be manipulated with great ease. In return for an absurdity, a great deal of money is lifted out of our pocketbooks. Huh. The situation is currently comical in that people take great pride in how much they have been exploited. It is a current status symbol among certain circles to brag about how much one has paid for certain things. When we remove the glamour from it, we might say that the person was sort of stupid. They really got suckered they got suckered in, or was naive and just didn't know any better. Because I'm telling you, that big brand name car that you just spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on, the moment that you drive off of that lot, every number that you crunched inside that building is now worthless, because that car is no longer worth what you just agreed to pay for it. You just got. I'm telling you, come on now. You got suckered in and was naive. The pride of snobbiness is probably the most supercilious of all. Does ostentatious really impress? Actually, no. The response that we see is one of fascination. People get a charge out of the superficial glamour, but underneath, they do not truly respect it because they know what it really is. When we settle for the pridefulness of ostentation, we impress no one. This dynamic revealed itself during a trip to Canada to visit the home of a wealthy individual who subtly conveyed the price tag of his many possessions. Ooh, that's so obnoxious to me. That is so obnoxious. On the same trip, malnourished Canadian Indian children were seen playing around the huge grain elevators that were filled to overflowing. The grain being held there to manipulate a higher world price through artificial creation of a shortage. As this wealthy person talked of his possessions, images of the children with their thin little legs flashed to mind. Far from being impressed with his wealth, there was sorrow for his sense of values and compassion for the lack of self worth that forced him to compensate in such a pathetic superficiality. Does that mean that we cannot take pleasure in expensive possessions? No, not at all. What we're talking about is pride. The problem is not that we have possessions, but that we have a prideful, possessive, and self congratulatory attitude about them. It is the attitude of pride that creates the space for fear. The same wealthy man in Canada mentioned above also had an expensive burglar alarm system. Huh? Right. Pride, like all the other negative emotions, engenders guilt. Guilt engenders fear. Fear means potential loss. Pride, therefore, always means a loss of peace of mind. The opposite of prideful acquisitiveness is simplicity. Simplicity does not mean poverty of possessions. Rather, it is a state of mind. Another individual is worth millions of dollars and she holds title to vast estates and possessions. Yet, as a person, she represents absolute simplicity. Her possessions reflect what the world has brought to her, and she takes joy in her beauty. Consequently, never a single criticism is made of her, nor do others express envy. It is not what we have that matters, but how we hold it, how we frame it in our consciousness and its meaning to us. Incidentally, this woman's entire estate is totally devoid of burglar alarms or watchdogs. In fact, when this was brought to her attention, she replied, "Oh heavens, if someone really needed something that much, they can have it." Exactly. There was a correspondence between the fact that no one ever stole anything from her and the fact that she was willing to share with others. Her invulnerability to theft was related to her lack of pridefulness about her possessions. Possessiveness and attachment occur as a consequence of pride. Attachment is therefore a potential cause for suffering because attachment brings about fear of loss. And with loss, we go back into apathy, depression, and grief. If we are prideful of a car and somebody steals it, we will experience anguish, pain, and suffering. If instead we loosely hold the car, which is emotionally speaking, we enjoy its beauty and perfection and we feel grateful for having it. Its loss will bring about only minor disappointment. Gratitude is one of the antidotes of pride. If we happen to be born with a high IQ, we can be grateful for it rather than take pride in it. It's not an accomplishment. We were born with it, right? So you didn't do anything to get it. You were born with it. If we are grateful for what has been given us and for what has been fulfilled through our God-given talents and endeavors, then we are in a peaceful state of mind and invulnerable to pain. It is a comical curiosity of the human mind to watch how it attaches pride to anything that is prefixed by the word mine. We have had we can have absurd pride over the most trivial things, and once we see the comedy of that, it is not too difficult to let go of the pride involved. Some people ironically have the vulnerability of reverse snobbery. That's funny. They take pride in bargains and thrift store conquests. Their personal opinion of people who pay excessive prices for things is that they are sheep to be sheared, and they rehearse the quote, "A fool is soon parted from his money." In this thrift store snobbery crowd, the status symbol is the incredible bargain. In fact, they're often in competition with each other to see who will find the best bargains. It is funny to observe that an article of clothing hanging in a thrift shop has no value at all until it becomes mine. Exactly. Exactly. Instantly, great value is attached to it. The difficult side of prefixing things with the word mine is the pride that goes with the sense of ownership. This makes us feel called upon to defend everything we label as mine. We can reduce our vulnerability by letting go of the desire to possess. Instead of saying mine, we can use the word a. Not my shirt, but a shirt. Thus, we will notice that if we view one of our thoughts as an opinion instead of my opinion, the feeling tone changes. Why do people get so hot under the collar about their opinions? It is just because of that sense of mine. If opinions were viewed instead as only an option, then there is no longer the vulnerability to prideful anger. It's true. It's so true. Next section, opinions. If we look at opinions, we'll see that they are a dime a dozen. Everybody on the street has thousands of opinions on thousands of subjects, and their opinions change from moment to moment and are vulnerable to every passing whim of fashion, propaganda, and faddism. Today's in opinion is tomorrow's out opinion. This morning's opinion is passe by afternoon. That is so true. We can ask ourselves, Do I want to spread out my vulnerability to attack by so extensively identifying with all these passing thoughts and calling them mine? Everybody has an opinion on everything. So what? So what? When we look at the true quality of opinions, we will stop giving them as much value. If we look back on our life, we'll see that every mistake we ever made was based on an opinion. We become much less vulnerable if we put our thoughts, ideas, and beliefs, which are all opinions, into a different context. We can view them as ideas that we like or dislike. Some thoughts give us pleasure, and so we like them. Just because we like them today doesn't mean we have to go to war over them. We like a concept so long as it serves us, and we are getting enjoyment out of it. Of course, we discard it quite readily when it no longer is a source of pleasure. When we look at our opinions, we will see that it is primarily our emotions that are giving them any value in the first place. That is a fact. Instead of feeling pride about our thoughts, what is wrong with just loving them? Why not just love a certain concept because of its beauty, because of its inspirational quality, or because of its serviceability? If we view our thoughts that way, we no longer need the pride of being right. If we hold the same view of our likes and dislikes, we are no longer prone to argumentativeness. For instance, if we love the music of a certain composer, we no longer need to defend it. We might hope that our companion would also love it, but if not, the worst that we can feel is mild disappointment at not being able to share something that we personally value and enjoy. If we try this, we'll find that people no longer attack our likes and dislikes and concepts. Instead of defensiveness, what they are getting from us now is appreciation. They understand that we appreciate certain things, and that is why we think that they would the way that we do. But they will no longer criticize or attack us. The worst we will get is perhaps a kidding or a quizzical attitude. Where pride is absent, attack is also absent. This is very valuable in those areas, such as politics and religion, which are so historically prone to illicit argument that they are tactically bypassed in polite society. It's true. We will find that if we love our religion, whatever it might be, no one will attack us. If we are prideful, however, we will have to avoid the entire subject because anger will quickly arise as a byproduct of the pride. When we truly value something, we lift it aloft out of a demeaning target range of argument. Is true. If you truly value something, you take it out of the attack zone. That which that which we truly cherish and revere is protected by our own reverence. If we tell somebody that we do something because we get enjoyment out of it, there's really nothing much they can say about it, is there? If we infer that we do it because we are right in doing it, we will instantly see their hackles go up because they also have an opinion on what is right. Our values are preferences. We hold them because we love them, enjoy them, and get pleasure from them. If we hold them in that context, we will be left in peace to enjoy them. The reason that pride arouses attack is because of the inference of being better than, which is part and parcel of pride. We see many people with dietary regimens about which they are prideful. Consequently, they are in constant arguments over the rightness of their dietary regimens and nutritional opinions. They even try to impose their regimens on family members and friends, toting the moral or healthy superiority of their dietary practice. In contrast, there are people who follow the same regimens because they enjoy doing so, because it makes them feel better, or because it fulfills certain spiritual disciplines. Consequently, they are never heard to be in argument because they have nothing to defend. If someone tells us that they eat the way they eat because they enjoy it, there is nothing much we can say about it, is there? If, on the other hand, they infer that theirs is the right way of eating, and by inference that ours is wrong, what they are really saying is that they are better than we are. That always arouses resentment. Always. If we don't take a prideful stance about our opinions, then we are at liberty to change them. How often have we gotten stuck in performing something we really didn't want to do because we had foolishly taken a prideful stance on an opinion? Very often, we would like to have changed our mind or the direction in which we were going, but we got ourselves boxed in by having taken a prideful position. That brings up one of the resistances to surrendering pride, and that is pride itself. In the prideful position, one of the underlying problems is fear. We fear that if we change our position in a certain matter, the opinion of others about us will adversely affected. It's so true. One reason for the need for humility about our opinions is because our opinions change as we get deeper and deeper into any given subject or situation. What seems to be so upon superficial examination often turns out to be quite different when we really get into it. This, of course, is to the dismay of the politician who makes promises based on fantasies of what is possible. But as he assumes power, he finds that matters are quite different than he had thought. The problems are far more complex. The situation is really due to the net effect of many powerful forces in society. All that politicians can truly promise us is that they will use the best possible judgment for the good of all as they get deeper into each matter. This evolutionary aspect of life is really all that any of us can promise ourselves, and this self knowledge will protect us from disillusionment. This is the safety of the open mind position, or what is called beginner's mind in Zen practice. When we are open minded, we are admitting that we are not in possession of all the facts, and we are ready to change our opinions as the situation unfolds. In this way, we do not box ourselves into the pain of defending lost causes. I was just having this conversation with someone yesterday. This is very true, even in areas we think are based on strictly factual and observable data, such as the field of science. Actually, science deals with hypothesis, and scientific opinion is constantly in the process of flux and change. It's true. Scientific opinion, much to the surprise of laypersons, is also subject to fads, passing popularity, paradigm blindness, and political pressure. It's true. For instance, in the field of psychiatry, the subject of the relationship between nutrition, blood chemistry, brain function, and mental illnesses was not popular in the past. The scientists and clinicians who worked in this field found themselves in the out group. That's funny. As time passed and it proved that there was value in this field of investigation, popular scientific opinion changed. Important discoveries were made. The whole industries came into being to provide products which utilize the basic findings of the relationship between nutrition and brain function. The basic findings and the subject is now accepted as respectable. So clinicians and scientists can do research in that area and be accepted as part of the in group. Pride, therefore, is also responsible for holding up scientific progress. Example, global warming theories. Pride blinds us to many things that would be profoundly beneficial to a prideful mind. To accept them would be inferring that we are wrong. The more inwardly powerful we really are, the more flexible we become, so that we are open to all that is beneficial. Pride prevents us from seeing that which is totally obvious. People die by the thousands because of pride. They literally give up their health and life itself. Addicts and alcoholics will go to their death because of the denial of pride. Other people have the problem, not me. Pride prevents us from recognizing our own limitations and accepting the help we need to overcome them. Our pridefulness isolates us. When we let go of pride, help comes into our life to address the problems with which we are struggling. We can experiment and prove the truth of that principle by picking one area in which are having difficulty and thoroughly surrendering all the pride involved. When we do that, some surprising things begin to happen. Letting go of pride unlocks the door to our receiving that which is the most beneficial to us. Are we willing to let go of pride and feeling superior to others? When we are willing to let go of the pseudo security of pride, we experience the real security that comes with courage, self acceptance, and joy. That was so good, y'all. Ooh, that was so good. Okay. Next chapter, you all, we will pick up on Sunday. That is chapter 10, and that is entitled Courage. Courage, you all know how I do. I like to get in and get out, get that one chapter in and return you back to your families, okay? And even yourselves, just your evening, okay? All right, you all, listen, real quick, if you need the book and you don't have the book, thank you, Royal. Royal on Clubhouse is sending me all kind of sugar. Okay, thank you, Royal. Okay, if you need the book, send me a message, send me an email at info@BiancaMzBeeLee.com, and send me your email address, and I will send you the book free of charge. You know, we welcome donations because we are a 501c3 nonprofit. We welcome donations, but they are not required. Okay. So if you want the book, we're just on chapter 9. So we're still in the beginning. You haven't missed much. You know what I mean? These chapters go by very, very fast. Okay. So you can read them, catch up, and all of those things. But get the book. All right. You can visit me on my site and all of those good things. Okay. All of that information is there. Follow me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all of the places, LinkedIn. Follow me there. Okay. Alrighty, you all, this was amazing. I hope you all got something out of it. I know I 100% did. And we're going to pick this up on next week, on Sunday, actually, with again, chapter 10. The chapter is entitled Courage. Okay. Alrighty, you all, you know what it is. I love you. I mean it. There's absolutely positively nothing you can do about it. Don't you even try it. We'll see you back here on Sunday, right here at Divine Femininity United. Peace. Thank you.